calling the Park Commission meeting meeting to order. Let's do a quick roll call.
Diana Wallace.
Laurie Mills.
Chad Smith.
Melissa Morrow.
Don Hudson.
Mary Elizabeth Kofer.
Victoria Johnson.
Great. And I will go ahead and announce that this meeting will be over no later than 1 p.m. And that just so you all know, basically Desiree and Ashley and I met on Thursday to kind of set the agenda. And we'll do that every Thursday. So if you guys have things that you want to have in the meeting, just send them to me before the Wednesday of the Thursday. And then I'll basically come in here and kind of talk through it. The concept of this agenda, the order, was meant to allow the staff to give us updates about where we are on the projects before we dive into where we want to go next. If that makes sense, okay? So the other thing is, we did reach out, the staff did, because I basically said, hey, Steve and Western Hills doesn't need to be a standing thing on this agenda. I'm happy for them to be, but what I prefer is for them to tell us when they want to be on the agenda, and then when they don't have to come. They're more than welcome to come, but they don't need to be on the agenda unless we're going to talk about something.
Completely agree.
Cool. And Steve did say that he wanted to stay on the agenda. I know they just had their last games. This girls softball, I know baseball is still going on.
I think so.
So when he shows up, we'll let him, if he comes.
Can I ask a question I keep
Yeah.
asking?
Yeah.
Who is tracking the lease? Is that city council, like to say, oh, well, everything you're supposed to do
Good question.
from the lease is getting done? You've done, I see that you've spent the 25, or I don't remember what it is, 30,000 a year, and that's been done. I've been asking this since I've been on the council. Who is responsible for enforcing the lease?
Yep. Enforcement.
And not that I don't think they're doing it.
Right.
I'm curious,
Just
is all that done each year, and how
Right.
is that done, and why don't we have, I mean, Steve is very gracious to always give his time to us, and he is always very, communicative with us, but that's one piece that we don't ever hear about is terms of money and where we are to that obligation.
that's a great point.
And maybe that's a council thing and we're not part of it. I don't know, but I keep asking and it never goes anywhere.
So I'm going to ask staff, Desiree, do you know, is there a way that we could have a dashboard for the girls softball and Western Hills Little League, and just that at least twice a year we look and see what are the requirements and have they completed them?
Requirements of the lease.
Yes.
I can find that out.
Thank you very much. It's
Great. Okay, good suggestion.
I agree.
So the quarterly park walkthrough, I don't know how many of you guys were able to look and see what was on here. I'm just gonna go through it quickly. What is ongoing, drainage in Lower Park past the swing towards the back field.
Hey Melissa, we didn't go over the minutes, or we don't
Oh,
have public
thank
comments,
you.
but just
Okay, I'll do,
Stay on track.
that's it, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are passed. Okay, so going back to the park walkthrough, ongoing drainage in Lower Park just past the swing towards the back field. When it says ongoing, Desiree, what does that mean?
I don't think anybody wants public comments.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, public comments.
Yeah.
Michaela's the expert on the park walkthrough, so I'll let her speak to that. It's,
ongoing is basically Izzy's in the process of working on these things. There's not a particular update. That's kind of why it's a little vague. But I know that before the next walkthrough, he'll have some more information, and I'll go ahead and update this, and then that'll be provided for you guys.
Okay, because I do think it'd be more helpful to have something specific, like
Sure.
we have booked Moss Verde, whatever, to come and do just whatever the next steps are going to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I can
And
definitely.
what's been finished.
Awesome, I will do
Okay,
that.
great. The redistribute gravel along the back walking trail. and weed control along trail ongoing.
This was my walkthrough, so I'm
Yeah,
happy to,
yeah,
if you'll
let's
have
do
any
it.
questions, but, I mean, if you have the
Go ahead,
responses.
Lori. I don't have any information.
Well, Izzy and I mean, he kinda did it as we went along, and the weed control, obviously, that's an ongoing issue that is never in control.
Yeah,
And that back area that he's talking about, we had a rain, it doesn't really drain, it was all mushy, and, I mean, I think that's a longer term, hey, how do we look at this in terms of drainage and erosion and things like that?
which we will get to later in the meeting, having.
Yeah, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying, that's
Nope,
why it's
okay.
ongoing,
Okay.
because it's not something that he can just fix.
Yeah.
But we had some holes in the trail down by the community garden and things like that, and whether it was done by kids or animals, we don't know, but there were several of the bigger holes that he went back and filled them in.
Okay,
Yep.
great.
And I'll maybe ask Izzy to, like you said, be a little bit more descriptive, so we could say something like, will be maintained as needed, things like that. So for sure, I'll let Izzy
Okay.
know.
Great. The next thing we're gonna do, so one of the challenges we have right now, and we've all been living it for 2 or 3 years for some of us, is that we can make a recommendation, but only council can actually take action and do something, either make money go to it or approve it. So everything that we do has to be approved by city council. So I think this group does not want to waste time on things that the city council is for sure not going to approve.
Or that they're going to take control of.
Yes.
If they're
Well-
going to control that, then we don't need to be spinning our wheels on this end.
True, but I do think there's some differing opinions on the council about what that looks like. For those of you who got Kevin's sort of update on what's going on with council, it was a little disheartening to see him proposing something that hadn't even come, that's on the council's agenda for tomorrow, that hasn't even come to us. And so, again, we would. Yes, this is, well, really, it's item 5. Okay, great. So I just wanted y'all to know that, at least as far as I'm concerned, I think it's still important that the Parks Commission makes a recommendation to council. And so tomorrow, because I couldn't put it on as an agenda item coming from this group, because this group hadn't met, doesn't meet until tomorrow, I had to, basically, I will come and speak during public comments, and if they ask me a question about something specific, I can answer it from the Parks Commission. Anyone else who wants to be there, I'm happy for you to be there. But I think we all take our job seriously. We're all showing up and being here, and then we think it's important that even when council members have a project in the park, that they bring it to Parks Commission first. So
I didn't see Kevin's update. What is he proposing?
So why don't you share?
So what is on your agenda today is the discussion of possible action regarding a trail rehab demonstration project. So originally, Izzy had received a quote for fixing the pavers along the sides of the trail and having crushed granite down the middle for the whole length of the trail throughout the park. And that came out, I don't know exactly, but around $100,000, which is just out of the ballpark, and everybody had kind of said no.
And who requested that quote?
Who requested that quote? I believe Izzy did, based upon
Did he just went out and seek that, or did somebody ask for that?
Izzy just wouldn't go out and seek on it, and I would have to ask him who specifically
Okay.
asked that
Well,
of him.
I think
But-
over and over again, it's mentioned in our park walkthroughs that
Right,
the
and so I
walking
think-
trail there's problems with the walking trail.
And it's a stabilization of the border, basically. So I think I'm guessing this is Kevin's idea originally, and spoke with Izzy about getting a quote for a demonstration of what this would look like. So they're going to, what the bid is that's in the packet for tomorrow's council meeting, and they're hoping that you would give a recommendation based on this as well, that they could use in the council meeting tomorrow. It can be yes or no, or whatever you guys choose. Is they're going to, the proposal is for back by the dog park, where someone may start on the trail.
Not a dog park.
Oh, sorry.
Off
Off
St.
Area.
Black Fields 3, 4, and 5,
Yes.
where someone
There
may
you go.
start on the trail, off parking. They They're going to do 20 feet on either side, or the proposal is for 20 feet on either side of, you know, like sand, you know, like setting, like white cement, setting those pavers in that so it's very stable and would not be falling out all the time, and filling in with the crushed granite in between. And so that will just be 20 feet, both sides. Everyone can see what it looks like, see what they think are like, and then that's an opportunity for Park Commission to look and say, hey, we really like this, or we really don't, and this may be something we want to bring to council for a budget request for next year or over the next 2 years to do the entire trail. That's the information that I have. And that proposal is actually in the council packet.
Do you think you could share the information about it with us?
Yeah, I can get it printed
Okay,
and give it to
that'd
you
be
guys.
great.
Thank you.
She's got it.
Okay.
So,
So, and who would be doing the project?
Do you want copies?
Yes, please.
Okay.
so Kevin Glasheen was in this meeting when we talked about having someone come and look at this and use a stabilizer on the trail. So he obviously did not pay attention to that. And my last text message I got from the Tim Eishen with Eishen Construction Company, that I wanted him to look at the whole project. I don't want to just keep throwing a Band-Aid on this with the crushed granite. He said the first step in this process would be for them to come out and complete a comprehensive site assessment so we can then develop recommendation and estimates for trail improvements that fit the desired aesthetic while also addressing troublesome issues. He said we will want to think about trail construction phasing along with other improvements that are in line for implementation. And so we set a meeting with him for next week to do that walkthrough.
And remind us what his credentials are.
He is the one that's, he's with Eishen General Construction, and they're the ones building the Violet Crown Trail.
Okay.
So they are fully vetted.
Extremely
Right.
knowledgeable.
Yeah. So,
And they're also the only ones in the state of Texas that I believe are licensed to use the Stay-Lock material that is the binder that I've been talking to you guys about, that would actually hold the crushed granite in place so we wouldn't be needing to replace it all the time.
Well, so that's on another trail that you and Don went to see.
The Violet Crown Trail.
So how is the Violet Crown
What's their
Trail
border?
bordered? Yeah. What,
I'm sorry, what?
does it have a border? Does it
No,
need
I
a
don't
border
even
with the
remember.
state?
I
Let me get a picture.
I went on a walkthrough
Yeah.
with Tim and
Maryland.
George Kofer, I believe. And there are places where the creek actually runs over the trail, rushing water. And the granite was intact, the crushed granite was intact.
And there was no border on either side of it?
I don't recall, there might have been a border, I just don't recall.
It looks like, I'm just pulled up pictures of the.
Yeah,
It's
I'm doing
it's
the
going
same.
to be a 30-mile trail, so I'm sure there's not
That's
a
what I
border
was
for
just
the whole
gonna
city.
Yeah, I don't think there's any border.
I mean,
It
which
looks
means
like there's
that
a
we may not
border on
have a
this.
need for a border.
So
They might
if
have a border
the
where-
Violet,
where you-
Yeah, so it depends on where it is. That's at one of the trailheads, there's a border. I think in some places there is, in some places it isn't. Given that it's eventually going to be a 30-mile trail, right now I think it's only about, I don't know, 13 or 14 miles. It isn't. So I think it depends.
It depends.
Like there's a border.
okay, so, just so that we're only having one person talk at a time,
Yeah.
so I'm just gonna, did you wanna?
Just that was provided for you is just the one proposal that's in the packet for council. It does not mean it's the only option. This is the first time it will be discussed at council. And when a council member requests for something to be on the agenda, as staff, we're required to put it there, so.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
So this
So you
is
know.
to redo 400 feet of the trail?
20 feet on either side, so it'll be 20 feet.
Well, this is 400.
This says total feet 400.
I think they figured the area for the crushed granite.
Yeah.
20 by 20 would be 400.
Yeah, so that'd be
Okay.
square
A
feet.
22,
But 20 feet of the border on the right side, 20 feet of the border on the left side, and then the crushed granite in the middle.
so 20 linear feet as opposed to 400 square feet,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Well, it's probably 400 square feet of crushed granite in
It's both.
between the two, right? Exactly. You guys
Gotcha.
figured it out.
Okay, so, the Violet Crown Trail has, kind of like ours, I think of ours as a mini version of the Violet Crown Trail in the sense that there are areas where water does come through. There's areas where there's a lot of foot traffic. There's areas that it's just straight and narrow. I imagine, and I've been on the Violet Crown Trail, that depending on where you are on the trail, you would have a different demonstration. So if you're demonstrating just one short, long and narrow, so this is one solution to one part of it. I think what I'm hearing from you, Mary Elizabeth, is you'd like to get an expert in here to tell us, yes, you could use that on this section of it, but over here on this section, you're gonna need something that allows water through, and on this section, you're gonna need for heavy traffic, and on this section, is that, and so my question actually back to you is, the meeting that you have set up, next week, is that for you guys to walk the trail?
Yes.
Okay, and then, is there a cost involved with him coming over to do that?
No.
Okay, and then at that point, would he give us an estimate of
Yes.
a cost for doing a plan for it?
Yes.
Okay, so, does anyone else have questions about what their intention is?
I would like to say one more thing. Just as with the butterfly gardens, I tried to make everything sustainable. I think that's real important. We try to make things sustainable so the staff isn't always having to go back and repair things. I think this trail needs to be sustainable, so after it rains, they're not having to dump more gravel. Plus, the waste isn't necessary. So that's the goal that we've had in mind this whole time.
So I think, I don't wanna speak for you, Mary Elizabeth and Dawn, but I think the goal would be for them to kind of table this tomorrow until we hear back as a park commission on what we've been tasked to do.
I agree with that.
So that would be.
I agree with that
Yeah.
also. My thoughts on the trail is that there are places where it's worn and sunken and unattractive and eroding, but most of the trail is not like you might find in a mall somewhere, but it's a little bit rough, but I think it's wonderful
Yes,
looking. It's appropriate to the park, and
agreed.
to dig it all up and put in concrete underneath
Yeah.
it, I can't see anybody spending the money on that. That's my thoughts.
Unnecessary.
I think to spot repair it, use some of this stabilizer as needed, maybe correct some of the grading.
Right,
Um,
so.
A comprehensive site assessment.
Yes, we
That's
just
what we
want
need.
them to table it till we can present our recommendation as well.
So do I have a motion?
A motion to what?
So the motion, cause the city council is asking for a recommendation from us, and so the recommendation
Our
could
rec-
look
our-
like, yeah.
Our recommendation, motion is for our recommendation to the city council to table this until we can provide our proposal from the expert.
Second.
Yes. Okay.
Can I quickly go back and also give Izzy kudos for something, a safety issue he fixed from
Yeah.
the walkthrough? I don't know if it wasn't on there or not, but these steps right here when I came down were all loose and not connected, and he did it that day.
Yeah.
So,
That's
thank
awesome.
you.
And
Yeah.
I do think, so we have a motion and a second, we're in the discussion section of this. I think, it sounds like what we want is, to have more time to look at a comprehensive, plan as opposed to trying something.
A Band-Aid.
Yeah, yep,
And also, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary Elizabeth, but we can have something by the next meeting. So we're not asking them
I
to wait
think that-
months for.
I think that's realistic.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're not
may I ask
asking
a
them to
question real
table
quick?
this for several months, but till June.
Well, so will the meeting just yield a, estimate for doing a study for him to put together his recommendations for the trail? Or will it, I mean, has he already done that? He hasn't done that.
Wait, what is your question?
So is the meeting to get him to give us an estimate to look at the whole trail
No,
comprehensively?
he's gonna look at the whole trail next week.
So he's
but,
not
but
trying.
he,
And then
but
he's gonna-
then he's gonna tell us how much it's gonna cost to
Yes.
get a
Yeah.
comprehensive plan, so
Then
you're
he's
right.
gonna
So,
give his
so it would be
recommendation.
to get a cost to get a plan,
Yes.
not a cost for what the plan would be.
No,
That's
we're
right.
looking,
Right.
So we're
Yeah.
looking for money for
That's a
the,
good question though.
Yeah,
okay, so we could at least have a request for the money to them by the next meeting for the study. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay.
we should be able to, that's.
No, the study,
The
my understanding is we're not paying for the study. He's gonna go in and tell us what his recommendation is and give us an estimate for what that would cost. Not that,
we're not paying.
he's not gonna come out tomorrow and then say, okay, for 30 grand, I'll do this study
Okay.
for you.
So
Not
he
that.
can, okay,
Yeah.
great. So
Well,
tomorrow he can.
Let's,
That was
Mary
a good
Elizabeth, is
question.
that correct?
That is correct. And by the way, y'all should know, he is already familiar with this.
Yeah, I'm aware
I
of that.
brought him here before, with Nicole, we have already looked at this, so he's coming in with some knowledge of what he's going to be looking
Okay,
at.
great. So what do you expect to come back in June? What will he be able to bring?
I think he's gonna have a comprehensive site assessment and hopefully the dollar figures to go with it.
Okay, great.
That's our hope.
Yep, that's
Okay.
our
And
hope.
we'll make that clear when
It'd
we
be
meet with
fantastic if we could take that to council.
Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Wouldn't that
Okay.
be nice?
That would be
So
great.
vote on the motion.
Yes.
As long as we're in discussion, I don't see any reason why they can't do both of these at the same time. And I've been pleased with what Kevin's been doing to help the park, and I don't see any problem with trying this for $10,000 and also doing the comprehensive site assessment at the same time and getting stuff done.
I can tell you why. I'd like to address that.
Sure.
Because I think it would be a shame if we put something in and then turned around and tore it out. I think if they're going to, it's like doing a remodel on a house, just turn around and tear it out because you're gonna put something else. What if they do something completely different?
And $10,000 is a chunk change.
If we've got the money, I'm all for it.
And we're not saying we're not.
Either you can make a amendment to the motion, or you can, after the vote of this motion, you can make a separate motion to that effect.
It's not gonna have any support here, so there's no need.
Okay, well, I just wanted to help everyone
Yeah, sure.
understand the option.
No, I get
Okay.
it.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this motion?
This is kind of general, but without question, the city council wants to work with the park commission. At meetings that I've been to, they've stated in a lot of different ways, they want to work with us. They're not trying to exclude us, et cetera, so. just a
Agreed.
thought.
Yep. All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All, opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes. Are you interested in another motion specific to, cause we are on this.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so, there is not a motion to support the demonstration project.
Not at this time. I mean,
Not
we
at this
wanna
time.
see,
Okay.
we just wanna get all the information and then propose something. And it may be that Kevin's idea is the best of what
Exactly.
we have.
Yep.
We're not saying it's a bad idea. We're just saying, let's get more
Explore.
information.
Yes.
That sounds great. Perfect. Okay. Update on the park drainage proposals from Moss Verde and Innovative Water Solutions and erosion near the pavilion.
I can speak to that. So this is kind of a three-part item. First is Moss Verde. So back in March, there was a joint park and city council drainage site visit, and Moss Verde attended that. And Moss Verde and the engineer that they are working with had additional questions for staff. And we have been able to work through all of those and get any additional information that they needed back to them last week. And so we expect to have a proposal by the end of this month from Moss Verde, hopefully. For Innovative Water Solutions, we met with the contractor in March after City Council had approved their proposal for engineering for drainage improvements below the field house and the retention pond on Nixon Gentry over here. We expect to have the engineering work any day now, but we just have not been hearing from them. We haven't received it yet. And just as a reminder, the RCDC has already approved the $31,000 for the park improvement project in Rollingwood Park for the retaining wall improvements. So if the engineering study comes back and that's in alignment with this, it's consistent with this, the funds are already allocated. That's where Innovative Water Solutions we've had a lot of difficulty getting a hold of them and getting any responses from them. For erosion near the pavilion, I spoke with Izzy. They are planning to do the work at the end of May. If they have any issues or delays with supplies or anything out of their control, it may be early June. So end of May, early June. They plan to extend the foundation, he says, past the drip line, at a slope so it's graded so that water would flow away from the pavilion. They will have a small step added. And then they're also gonna have either bull rock or gravel for runoff and kind of filtering past that. So that's the plan on the erosion near the pavilion.
I have a question. You said there will be a small step added. Is that so that you can get from the pavilion down to the sidewalk?
Or down to the ground.
So
Yeah.
what, you remember, so here's the pavilion, and then it starts to go like this
Yeah.
all the way down. So when Izzy and I did the walkthrough, what he explained to me is that it's gonna come out like this further from, and then have a step down and like this.
Perfect. Okay.
Great.
Yep.
I like that.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll look much better.
Nice.
It'll also slow the erosion. The steps are good for that.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, that's awesome. I think that's really helpful for the rest of our discussions. Discussion possible action regarding the report from the addition of trees to the park subcommittee. Tree subcommittee, do y'all wanna sort of present?
Yeah, I didn't bring my copy of that.
So, actually, I think, we walked through and took a look at that, and, that's part of the, in your agenda. We identified 2 sites that people have seen the photographs of one of those, which is the trees alongside, fields 2, 3, 4, and 5, between that and the parking area. And we don't have, well, all we did is identify the sites. We're also suggesting that we look at that area between the butterfly garden and the fence for fields 3, 4, and 5. But being very careful, Dawn always keeps us mindful of being, paying attention to how it's different where the sun comes from and the movement of it, so that we make sure we don't shade the butterfly garden at any time. And so we would be dependent upon, the people with Mas Verde for that, as far as the trees and so forth. So once we get the okay from you guys, then we will ask them to give us a proposal and a cost estimate.
Also the recommendations for the type of tree, the number of trees, and
Oh,
the
right, right.
specific location.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
we
that-
did do some of that discussion earlier with
Mhm.
them.
Yes. So I don't know where we go next. Do we get y'all's approval and then ask for a city council's approval, and how does this work?
So, it sounds like you still have some work to do. Does that make sense? That you still have you're waiting for the drainage study for
You know,
placement or not?
it kind of seems like all this needs to work together,
Okay.
quite
It's
honestly.
a puzzle
Yeah.
with the pieces going in sometimes at the same time and sometimes quite far spaced.
I think I would want their input on that. I think it's kind of like what I was telling Chad. You don't want to do something and tear it up.
Right.
We want to make sure that things are done right. But we could still, if we have approval from the park commission, we could go ahead and ask them to tell us, make recommendations for the type of trees and the number of trees. And, right, Diana?
And the size, yes.
Yeah, and size, and then we could go ahead and get that part done, and then,
I'd be in favor of that.
I'd be in favor of that.
okay.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
could
just
go ahead
do it.
and make that next step, and
Sure.
then we could ask them when is a good point, and then I think
And then you could submit that to the drainage people and see if they
Mhm.
thought that was a
Mhm.
positive or a negative to the drainage issue.
right,
Yeah, those trees, if we were out of sync on that, they could get in the way of,
Yeah. But I think if you have something to present, that's better than,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course.
waiting,
They have something to go on.
waiting. Yes, and then they can say yes or no or modify it, and there's
Mhm.
something actionable.
I feel like on a lot of these deals, we're waiting on this comprehensive report from,
I know,
that's
for years.
that's never gonna happen. And I just wanna get stuff done. So,
No, the comprehensive report, we haven't been waiting that long. The one from Prosperity, they were just waiting to get the information from the city, which they didn't get it until this last week. So
Got it.
now, they're expecting that proposal this month. So that's not something we've been waiting a long time. It's the IWS thing that we've been waiting a long time for.
what is IWS?
Innovative
Innovative
The-
water solutions.
okay,
And
the
they're the ones
drainage.
that, they're the ones that we've
That's what I
already-
mean. I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like everything, we're waiting on the drainage study, we're waiting on the comprehensive
Yeah,
study.
but the-
I say just do it.
Yeah, well, it's IWS that has you feeling anxious like that. This other part, we're just getting the ball
Just
rolling.
make sure Moss Verde isn't getting the blame.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, because we can get, we
But I
can't get
think we
ahead
go
of
ahead with
ourselves.
the recommendation if you wanna put forth. the
Okay, number of trees, types of trees, and then tell them that, give us some idea.
in cost.
Yeah.
Number of types of trees and cost, yes.
We,
I forgot that part.
not that I'm jumping to this thing, but we probably also need to think about what the, parking is gonna look like, so that we know what routes are gonna need for that parking area. But if we
Well, I
say that these are the trees we want in our park, we can say we need to build parking that accommodates them.
And
Well, I
also
don't know
how
about
the
that, but-
irrigation is gonna go, cause they'll need to be watered. I mean,
Mhm.
how's that gonna
Well,
go?
and you know what, they already took a look at that. We sent them pictures of where they would be tying in for that. And they also said that when they do the trees, the type of plants, the grasses right there that they would put in would help to enable the rainwater to percolate to the roots of the trees. So that will help.
And I
And-
think in terms of the parking lot, also, if we have a recommendation, and then meanwhile simultaneously the parking people are working on their thing, then we can modify both to achieve both,
Yep,
instead of waiting for this to be done to do this.
yep.
Yeah, there might be some irrigation lines that need to be run also. They'll probably be nice native trees, but they often need some irrigation water to get
Oh, yeah.
started, so.
For sure.
And I already sent them pictures of, they were asking about where would they be, where to tie in, where the main line
So,
is.
sounds like what we're gonna do is we're going to get them to, put together a proposal.
For
Yes.
for the
And
number
this
of
would be,
trees,
this would
the
be
type
Moss
of,
Verde,
the number of trees, the types of trees, and then the cost.
yeah.
Yep. And
Sounds
who's
good.
gonna do it?
Moss
Moss Verde.
Verde.
Okay, great.
So that's great, cause they're already tied in and already doing other things in the
Mhm.
park, so that is nice to have that cohesion.
So how do y'all feel about making that a motion?
I'll make the motion, let's see, motion to, get Moss Verde to, propose numbers of trees, types of trees, location.
No, we have that.
We
And
have
cost.
that, well, I know, but do you have one every 20 feet or every 40 feet?
okay.
But you could say generally in areas 1 and 2 as marked on the map.
Sure, and they might also want to, would they be the ones that would, there's water right there at the Round Garden on Rollingwood Drive.
I
don't
don't
know
think we need
exactly.
to do that.
You don't think we need irrigation?
No, I don't think we need to include that. No, that's gonna be included in their cost.
Okay, so the motion is to, request Moss Verde to propose types, number, and location of trees in areas 1 and 2 as shown on the map, and
Including cost.
including cost, and what about irrigation? You say just
Including
don't-
irrigation.
including irrigation, so number, types, location, cost, and include, irrigation as needed.
I second it.
Great. Any discussion?
I'm in favor of it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Yay.
And I will share that motion with council. They won't have it on their agenda, but if for some reason they have any reason to disagree, they can come tell us ahead of time to give us guidance.
Oh, that'd be great.
Great.
Can I see that Glasheen thing?
All right. Discussion and regarding the improvement of the walking trail.
Have we already done that?
But I think we've already done it, so I think we're good. Discussion regarding the safety and usability of parking around the upper playing fields. I know I haven't done anything on that, but I
Boy.
commit to, us getting together in the next couple
Yeah,
weeks
let's do
and
it.
get started on it.
Sounds good.
And we will work with, city staff to find out who does most of their paving at this point and who we should do a design with.
Are we looking at paving? That's-
Well, we
Look
don't.
into it.
We'll look
Okay.
into it. We're gonna look
Just
at
gonna
what
look
the
into all kinds of
options are.
solutions.
We can
Okay.
leave it the way it is. We can, there's probably some permeable substance you can put down, and then there's paving. So we'll look at all three options.
And there's a subcommittee about that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and I believe that's, me, Chad, and Victoria.
Yep, that's
Great.
it.
Cool.
And sorry, Melissa, just to
Yep.
clarify, you're
Mhm.
wanting us to get you information of who we use for paving, like our roads?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Or if any, who did the parking lots before.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Now, let's see, discussion possible action regarding prioritizing projects in the park for potential budget requests. I don't think we need to talk any more about that.
Nope.
We know
I
where
think
we
we
are.
kinda handled that one.
Yep.
I did, sorry.
Okay,
one-
yeah,
One last thing. I
please.
did wanna give you guys a time, like a time frame, so you guys are just staying on track before budget season. So this meeting, as you guys have already done a lot of discussion, which is great. For the June Park Commission meeting, we'd like everyone to just narrow down on things and kind of get things rolling along. And then, by the July meeting, we'd like to have everything finalized with all supporting documents, which would include, you know, bids or, proposals, things like that. But just something to keep you guys on track.
Thank you.
very
I like
much.
that. Sure.
Yeah, we
Very
needed
helpful.
that.
Yeah.
Yep. Discussion possible action regarding filming of commercials and other commercial uses in the park. This came up because, last month, we had a group that came in and wanted to do filming. I did come and talk to them only because this is something that happens for us at WEA and down in the parks at WEA. I was clairvoyant in my assessment of what happened.
You were.
Only because I've dealt with it for 10 years. So what commonly happens on these filming things is first of all, they call you on Monday and they want to film on Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday or Friday. And they're in a big hurry and they want to use your field for the maximum amount of time during the most beautiful time of the day. And they really don't want to pay you anything. So that got us thinking in the future, because it's one of those things, if you do want to take advantage of it, you kind of have to have a plan in place. And so at WEA, what we did was we basically said, we're not even talking to you unless you want to pay us $10,000, because at least 10 times we went through this, and the day before the thing happened, either it rained and they're not going to do it, or they found a spot that they could do for free. These are not all full-length feature films. A lot of these are commercials. And so we wanted to give them guidance, sort of like, okay, how do you want us to handle this in the future? Because yeah, it'd be great to get $10,000, but there is a City of Austin, the City of Austin has a policy about it, and I will send it to you guys for the next time so we can kind of, so you'll look at it and think about it. Because things like they'll go, oh, it's a really small production, and the next thing you know, they've brought in 2 semi-trucks into the parking lot that have basically left ruts that are 6 feet deep, and they set up a lunch tent that is like the size of your wedding.
And your irrigation pipes.
Yeah, and they actually arrive starting at 4 a.m., not really at 8 a.m., and so your neighbors are not happy, and so anyway, it's a little more complicated than just a quick, hey, and which you wouldn't think of when someone comes on Monday and says they're doing something on Wednesday. But this is just, that's sort of how they operate.
So did they come and ask us?
They did come and ask us, and I'll let
Yeah,
her tell you.
and just a little bit more information. So they approached us. They originally had something small in mind, and it turned out to be a lot bigger. They changed the proposal about 5 times, and they gave us everything when it comes to like insurance and times and everything like that. But at the very last minute, they did pull out, and we were gonna have like this fabulous $10,000 donation to the park in place, but everything just fell through, and they decided to go with someone else.
Yeah,
last minute.
10,000 is not a lot if there's disruption and damage to the park, and
Mm.
you know, that's
Do you know where they went?
They went to Lockhart. City of Lockhart. And with all of this too, it really did just waste a lot of resources and time for like Chief. I know that she was she was literally leaving for a vacation that she had planned out, and she was here for a long time. Desiree was here for a very long time, constantly in communication with her. But it would be nice to have a process if this opportunity comes across us again.
Yeah. So I'll send that to you guys. We can see if we want to adopt something like that, and then just sort of make it where it's like you can hand it to the person, they have to fill it all out, so you see how serious they are.
Well, I've got a question too for city staff about, I can't remember where I saw this, I know I didn't imagine it, but, saw something about a kindergarten class wanting to use the pavilion. Did that happen?
Yes.
So what are the policies regarding sizes and numbers and rent of the pavilion?
Well, that one they were here for a field trip. They were here just eating lunch.
Okay.
And usually for the pavilion, there is a max of 20 people, and they had around 99 children, and that doesn't include parents and
Right.
volunteers or teachers and whatnot. So for them, what we did is approach city council with an agenda item, and this has happened before. It's kind of like an annual thing, or at least it did happen last year also. But it was just, we made an agenda item about it, we gave it to council, they were able to approve it in their consent agenda, and they didn't necessarily discuss it in detail. So it was just one of those things that needed to have council
council's
approval,
approval.
because
Okay.
there's just a giant influx of children.
Do we
and
need policies for that? I mean, do you need?
They're
We
kind of
have-
set.
we have one.
Set?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have one.
It's on the
Because
Me
there was
too.
not
Yeah,
policies
it's
set
an
for the
exception.
community.
It's one of those
There
things
should
where
be.
if they want to go to an exception,
Yeah.
but it is, again, disappointing if
Yep.
it's something that happened 2 years in a row, because they know a year in advance. It's just that you have volunteers usually who are putting it on. Again, this happens that way all the time. It's like they know Cassie's graduation is going to happen every year, and then they wait till the last minute to go, oh yeah, we still want to be there. Maybe we can be proactive with them and just say who's going to be the liaison next year for the kindergarten.
Well, and is the movie in the park gonna become an annual thing too? Cause that went through a whole different process than the kindergarten did. That's why I was kinda confused. How do these things?
Well, the movie in the park, that was a little bit different. They had generators. They were having a big screen,
Production.
a projector, and for the field trip, they were just eating in the park. They were there for an hour and then they left.
So that's what differentiates the process that they're gonna go through, basically.
I think it differentiates
I
because
think
it
they
doesn't
just-
fit into what we have approved.
Oh, the movie thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
the movie thing and the kindergarten thing, they were outside of what our typical sign up is.
We're
Well,
more,
they weren't a birthday party or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. They're school
Yeah.
related, so it involves more children, more people, which is fine.
But it doesn't need us, it just needs council.
Yeah,
That's what
anything
the-
like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
would have to be approved by council. They could not do it without city
Yeah.
council's approval.
So
for
it's
sure.
more expeditious just to go.
And my vote is always yes. You should be able to use the park.
Absolutely.
If you guys would allow me for a minute, Izzy did text me and I stated something
Okay.
wrong for the trail demo project. It is actually 200 feet on each side, not 20 feet, and it is 400 linear feet.
Okay,
200
Okay.
feet. Wow.
200 feet
Whoa.
on each side.
And they're talking about doing it down by the parking area.
He said starting back, yeah, by like where you would go with a dog. If you
That's so much.
So.
I mean, that's, you could prove the principle by 20 feet. The 200 feet, and if we have to tear it out to redo, boy, that's a lot. Not that we can have any say-so on that. We've already kind of given a no confidence vote to.
Well, yeah, I don't think it would change your vote, but I just wanted you to have accurate
I
information.
appreciate that. Thank you
That's
very
cool.
much.
Yeah.
and the council can still decide, they just have our recommendation.
So he
Mhm.
said 400 linear feet.
And
Yeah,
they'll
200
know
on each
that
side.
we are gonna pursue your meeting. So.
Yes.
And when is that?
Oh,
Friday the
it's
24th.
Friday the 24th at 11 o'clock.
24th. And, who's gonna be there?
The team, that would be Lori and Dawn and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. If we wanted to have, and be able to invite the entire committee, do we just have to post it? If we wanted to have the whole Parks Commission be allowed to go and do that walkthrough with the expert?
Yes, if you have a quorum, yeah. But we can do that.
Yeah, is anyone else interested in?
I'd love to
Okay,
do
then
that.
can we post that as a meeting?
Yeah, give me the details of exactly what the meeting will be,
We're
date
going
and
to
time.
meet on, Friday the 24th at 11 o'clock. We're gonna meet at the field house.
Okay. We'll have to check and make sure that there's staff available at that time, but I don't think it'll be a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, we'd have to post it before, and we have time. And if they have quorum, we need minutes.
Okay,
But it can just be like they discussed it
Yeah.
while walking.
kinda like our last one.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Good
Cool.
stuff.
Okay, great.
But we're
Um,
gonna keep this brief, you guys, cause I'm
Yes.
waiting to go on my vacation
Yes,
today.
okay, thank you.
Where are you going?
Well, to our ranch where I always go, but I got work to do.
There you go. No judgment.
That sounds fun.
Okay, Park Commission financials, if everyone's had a chance to take a peek at them, we don't approve them or anything like that, but I just wanted everyone to make sure they're peeking at them. Is there, anything else? I think we've covered everything. Look at us, we are so efficient.
You've gotta come up with 15 minutes more of.
No, we don't.
No, we do
No, we
not.
don't.
I do have a question.
Okay.
This is the total wrong place for it. But has anybody, I mean, who would be, and what is the requirement? We walk regularly from the park across and down onto, Timberline. Really difficult to get across the street. And I've watched kids do that too. Is there any aversion to crosswalks or anything like that?
So
And
we are
do
not
have to have
posted to
sidewalks
discuss
in order
that.
to do that?
We're not posted to discuss that.
Yeah, but
So you
what-
can make that as a public comment.
Okay, that, exactly.
And
That's
I
what
would
mean.
suggest that you go to city council tomorrow and
And ask that
ask
question?
that at public comment. And just say, hey, I think you should get this on an agenda, more crosswalks.
Okay,
That's my suggestion.
or speak to a council member if I
Or-
can't go.
Yes,
All right, got it.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, people come over the hill and going west, and sometimes they're
Oh, yeah.
moving.
Is there a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you.
I'll second it.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, now enjoy. You can keep talking.
Good work.
All right.
Nice job.
Well done.
Good. I'm very excited about